Imagine having an appetite so intense that you cry yourself to sleep every night. Well, that was me not too long ago, and this is me now. So let's go over how I reduced my crazy appetite. So here are just some of the images that I took when I was in this phase of my life. As you can see, I tracked all my food, I tracked all my calories, and I'm not joking when I'm saying that I was eating upwards of 10,000 calories basically every single day. Now the caveat here being is I was binge eating and like rebounding from a very extreme diet that I was on, but if I can go from binge eating to lean, I'm pretty sure you can apply this to your own life and go from overeating to pretty decent shape. And by the way, before we get onto these specific steps, if you're binge eating, all you have to do is stop over dieting and it'll fix up itself. You just have to get back to maintenance calories and stay there, drop the diet fatigue, and then you can diet again. Number 1, start small. Lower your ego and commit to one small change per week or per month that you can keep for the rest of your life. And look, I'm against the new age follow your feelings mentality, but you have to hear me out on this because this is probably the smallest thing that you can change that will give you the biggest impact in your fat loss. You know what? Actually, look at this. Imagine this piece of paper is your weight loss. This is your commitment and discipline. It only takes one rip down the middle to destroy all of it. Now imagine if you implemented one habit, let's say simply removing sugar from your coffee for the rest of your life. You make a small fold and it's not the biggest, but you would probably agree that this is a little bit harder to rip. Now a few weeks later, you add another small change, another fold. You drink a whole liter of water before every single meal. Oh, now look, this fold is much bigger than the rest. And so the more changes you make, the bigger they will be. Now you added fasting, higher protein into your diet. Over time, these even start overlapping. So now, for example, you're fasting and breaking your fast with a high protein and fat meal, which keeps you more satiated throughout the day. Then you start to track all of your calories. Now look at this piece of paper. How much more resilient is this compared to when you started? And I guess it's also a coincidence that it got much slimmer, right? This is the power of starting small. Number 2, decrease food palatability. Palatability is just the confusing term of how good food tastes. And now there are 6 ways to decrease this. We can change the flavor, texture, smell, layering, visuals, and temperature. Now some of these we probably shouldn't change because, you know, if we're eating a vegetable, we still want it to look and smell good. You know, you don't want to eat a rotting vegetable. But there definitely are things that you can tweak here that will only decrease palatability and not make it rotten. So essentially we should just lower how good the food we eat tastes over time. Whether that's eating less processed junk food or literally taking away certain spices from your meals. Now that may be more extreme, but I definitely think you can make your diet a little bit more bland by removing something like Oreos or taking away random high sugar foods from your diet. You know, using less oil or changing up the food combinations so you don't overeat as much. Quite literally, whatever works for you. So a more confusing example that you can take better inspiration from is whenever I am trying to gain muscle and trying to eat a lot of calories, I will eat any type of meat along with rice and vegetables. Of course, I season it all so it tastes amazing, but on the contrary, whenever I try to lose weight, I remove the rice in that equation. It lowers the carbs, it makes it less palatable, and the combination of foods actually fills me up more for the amount of calories that I get. Because vegetables are a carbohydrate that keep you more satiated compared to rice. And yes, when you decrease the palatability, the food won't taste as good. There's gonna be that one comment, oh, your diet is so sad. I want to eat food that makes me happy. Well, guess why you're fat? We don't want to be like these people anymore. On this channel, we take real approaches to weight loss, and there's no denying that palatability is one of the key factors that makes people overweight. If you want quick fixes like any of these other guys who just clicked off the video because they're too soft to accept real world facts, go watch another soft-spoken YouTuber that will tell you, oh, calorie intake doesn't matter, and you're healthy at every size. You should eat intuitively. Treat your body well. Let me break the news to you. Your own brain got you fat, so why would you keep listening to the same advice? And by the way, this is all coming from a place of love because I wish somebody would have told me this when I was younger. Anyways, number 3, train impulse control. In the book that I was reading when making this video, called The Hungry Brain by Stefan J. Guyanet, it is said that low impulse control is one of the primary predictors of obesity. And, you know, this seems to make sense. If you have a hard time controlling yourself with food, you're probably gonna overeat, right? Now, there's 2 ways to fix this issue. You can either develop impulse control or fix up the environment to make impulse control a non-necessity. So here are some of my favorite methods. Not having junk laying around the house. If you don't have junk food laying around the house, it becomes very easy to not get those triggers and impulses to actually go and eat the food. And so in place of that, once you remove the junk junk, you can just put down a bunch of healthy snacks around the house. Maybe chop up some carrots in place of where the junk food used to be. Not only do you increase the barrier, how hard it is to eat the junk food, but you also decrease the barrier to how easy it is to choose the healthier option. Another method is to not buy junk food at all. This is one that I think is quite intuitive to a lot of people, and it works wonders. If you really want the junk food, you have a very big psychological barrier to overcome in the form of driving all the way to the store to get the junk food. You're adding as much friction as possible to the bad habit, and this is how you overcome such things. Another way is to prepare foods in advance. So I will meal prep a lot of my foods the day before or for half the week in advance, so it kills all the decision fatigue and I don't have to waste my brain points thinking about what I have to eat. And now if you want to develop impulse control, the best way to go about this is to train it like any other skill. A great way to train this is to buy a candy bar and put it on a table next to you where you frequently spend a lot of time. The idea here is to get impulses to eat the chocolate, but not to act on them. Every single time that you get an impulse, a thought that you should go and cheat on your diet, every time you resist, that is like gaining XP in the skill of impulse control. Now, eventually you might cave in, but you shouldn't see this as failure. As long as you can do this again and hold off for longer, you've actually increased the skill of impulse control. If you want to 10x your weight loss, press the first link in the description and join our free school group. At 100 members, I'm going to make it paid, so if you join now, you get everything free for life. If I gave you anything of value, consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to stay savvy with your diet.